Hi everyone, CFL Park Hopper here at Disney's Magic Kingdom, and we're here today to talk about how to use the Disney Genie Plus Lightning Lane system. It's kind of a weird system. There's kind of a lot of rules involved. There's regular Lightning Lane, there's individual Lightning Lane, there's virtual queues. So I'm going to kind of go through that today and give you some tips and tricks how best to use it for your next Disney World visit. Let's go.
Now the world is your oyster here at Magic Kingdom when it comes to Lightning Lane. There are so many rides here, so many choices, and you really have your pick of the litter. So it really just depends on what your preference is. If you like high-speed thrill, I would go for the mountains like Space Mountain, Big Thunder Mountain. If you like more dark rides, like right here is Buzz Lightyear, Haunted Mansion, Pirates of the Caribbean, you know, the list kind of goes on and on. If you have kids, you're going to want to stick to things in Fantasyland, like Peter Pan, Winnie the Pooh, perhaps the Tomorrowland Speedway that's right over here. So there's really lots to choose from, and because the park stays open with really good hours, it's typically like 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. on average, you can get a lot done. And I find that this is a great park to stack Lightning Lane. So if you're planning to come here later in the day, you can start stacking. So, you know, if you want stuff like Jungle Cruise or Peter Pan, those go pretty fast. So you want to get on in the morning and kind of watch for a time that you're going to arrive at the park, and then probably tag one of those rides, get that going, and every 2 hours you can get another one. And I would just start stacking as you're coming into the park. Or if you're coming at park open, you could just pick one to start with and kind of keep going from there. So this is probably the best park, again, bang for your buck for the Lightning Lane. No matter when you're coming, I would definitely use it here at this park. Now, as far as which rides to really prioritize, again, that's going to depend on your preference. For me, I prioritize things like Space Mountain, Big Thunder Mountain, usually Pirates of the Caribbean, Haunted Mansion. Those are like my go-tos. Things that I wouldn't waste my time on, that usually have shorter waits. So like Dumbo, Mad Tea Party, those are usually have shorter waits that are doable to not waste a Lightning Lane on. Same with Small World. So I would try to get some of the rides that have longer wait time. Now, if I had young kids, I would prioritize my Lightning Lanes with the more Fantasyland rides involved. And I would probably start over here with Peter Pan's Flight. This is one of the most popular rides in all of Magic Kingdom, and the Lightning Lanes for this go quick. So if I want something like Peter Pan, I would probably try to be on the Lightning Lane Disney Genie right at 7 a.m. and try to get a time right away, depending on what time I want to be in the park. If I'm coming early in the morning, I would just try to get the first thing I can get. If I'm coming later in the day, then I gotta kind of wait for the times to get later. But this will move pretty quick, so you can just kind of babysit it at 7 a.m. and kind of keep refreshing it until it hits a time that you're looking for. My priority list after Peter Pan would probably move to the Jungle Cruise, which those Lightning Lanes go pretty fast as well. So just depending on if I can snag one. And then probably also things like Buzz Lightyear, Winnie the Pooh. If your kids are willing to do Pirates of the Caribbean or Haunted Mansion, get one of those. The Tomorrowland Speedway, It's a Small World, things like that, okay? But Peter Pan or Jungle Cruise, you're going to want to have to get one of those right at 7 a.m. And then again, you can get your second ride 2 hours after the park opens at 11 a.m. or once you've tagged into the first ride. So it's going to just depend what time you get your first Lightning Lane for. If I get it for 9:45, once I use it, I can get a second one. If I don't get it until 12 and the park opens at 9, then I can't get a second Lightning Lane until 11 a.m. Hope that helps you in planning out how to get your Lightning Lanes here at the Magic Kingdom. All right, guys, we made it here to Disney's Animal Kingdom, and at this park, Lightning Lane can be good, sometimes it can be bad. It's hard to tell. Unlike Magic Kingdom, which has a ton of rides, the other three parks have less rides and less rides that use Lightning Lane, so your choices become a little bit more limited. On a light day with light crowds at Animal Kingdom, Lightning Lane could really work in your favor to get through the park very quickly and be done within half a day, easily. However, Lightning Lane to be used in a busy holiday time, you may only get 1 or 2 rides on the Lightning Lane, and then I don't really know if it's worth the money. It's worth it too if you're gonna park hop from this park and start at this park and get some Lightning Lane done, and then park hop and use Lightning Lane at another park. that's also worth it. So it's going to really depend on your plans for Animal Kingdom, how long you plan to be at Animal Kingdom, and the busyness of Animal Kingdom when you come. But I'm going to show you some of the rides that you really should prioritize with your Lightning Lane here at this park. All right, so we are here in Pandora. This is the World of Avatar area here at Animal Kingdom. And one ride that I would most definitely prioritize with your Lightning Lane is the Na'vi River Journey right over here. And this is the one that I would probably snag right at 7 a.m. This line is always long, at least an hour. Right now it's 80 minutes at almost 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And this is a ride that's, to me, it's a boring wait to stand in line for. So I think I would snag this ride right at 7. And then it really depends on your plan. If you're going to rope drop Animal Kingdom, it can be fairly early. Like rope drop, a lot of times the park opens at 8. And so rope drop would be, for resort guests, at 7:30. And then you could do Flight of Passage, which is the ride right over here, which is only individual Lightning Lane, which again, I'll talk about individual Lightning Lane in a little while once we talk about regular Lightning Lane so that we're not confused. But you could rope drop that. However, that line, even at rope drop, could be almost a 2-hour wait. It just depends on how quickly you get into the line. But if you snag Na'vi River Journey right at 7, you could get it probably in the 8 o'clock hour and get it done and over with, and then move on with your day. So otherwise you could rope drop the Na'vi River Journey and buy individual Lightning Lane for Avatar, and I can show you another ride that you could then get a Lightning Lane for. So Na'vi River Journey could be definitely a possibility to get early in the morning. If you're planning to come to Animal Kingdom a little later in the morning, you're not planning to be here right away at the crack of dawn. Maybe you're planning to roll in around 10 or 11 or 12 even. This still might be the ride that I snag at 7, because the line will move pretty quickly, and the Lightning Lanes on this will move fairly quickly. And you could get this, and then within the 2 hours later, you could move on to the Safari, which is where I'm headed next. So let's go talk about Kilimanjaro Safari. All right, so this is Kilimanjaro Safari, which is amazing. You must do the Safari when you come to Animal Kingdom. You're going to see so many great animals, and the ride is never the same because the animals are always moving around and they are live, so it always is different. Right here at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it is a 55-minute wait. So this would be my second choice for Lightning Lane after Na'vi River Journey. And the reason why it's my second choice is because the Lightning Lane for this stays closer to the time of day that it is when you get it than the Na'vi River Journey does. Na'vi River Journey right now at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The next available time is like for 6 something at night. The next time for Lightning Lane for the Safari right now is at 1:45, and it's 1:15. So I would again at 7 a.m. get the Na'vi River Journey, and then I would get the Safari second, which would put you, if the park opens at 8, around 10 a.m., depending on what time you tap into the Na'vi River Journey. If you tap into the Na'vi River at 9 a.m., you'll be able to get a Lightning Lane right away for this. Or if you want to rope drop this ride first in the park, you could do that and be getting individual Lightning Lane for the Avatar ride and for the Na'vi River Journey. It's just going to depend what your choices are, what your plan is for the day. But this would be my second choice after Na'vi River if I wanted to do both of those rides on Lightning Lane. After that, for my third choice for Lightning Lane, it's really going to depend on your preference. If you can get a third choice in this park, again, it's going to depend on the crowd. Some days it's easier than others. I would get Expedition Everest personally for myself, which is the roller coaster. If you're not into high-speed thrill, you might want to get it for one of the shows like Festival of the Lion King or Finding Nemo the musical. So it's really going to depend. If it seems like it's too hard to get a third Lightning Lane, which sometimes it is, depending on the crowd, that's when, again, if you're park hopping, using your Lightning Lane and moving to another park would be more worth your while here at Animal Kingdom. Again, it's just gonna depend on your day, what you have planned, how long you plan to be here, what time of day you plan to be here, and so on like that. All right, let's head off to Hollywood Studios. All right, folks, we have made it to our next park, and that is Hollywood Studios. So this is a tough park with Lightning Lane. I'm going to be dead honest with you. A lot of people think, oh, this one's going to be great because there's so many great rides here and they have such long lines. However, because of that, you can get maybe like 1 or 2 Lightning Lanes for the big rides. The rest of them you're still going to need to plan to wait for. So we're going to talk about which ones to really prioritize to get the best bang for your buck with this lightning lane. All right, so we are talking about maximizing our lightning lanes and using them for the most important rides here at Walt Disney World. And Slinky Dog Dash here at Hollywood Studios is like a must if you're going to do lightning lane. This ride will never be below an hour. Currently at 11:45 in the morning, it is 95 minutes. But let me talk about how high demand this lightning lane is. This lightning lane is the one that you need to get right at 7 a.m. And you almost have to do this lightning lane like as if it was a virtual queue. Virtual queue, which I'm going to explain in a little while for the rides that use it, drops at 7 a.m. And on those rides, you pretty much have to be refreshing on the app right before 7. And right when it hits 7, hit the join button. And Slinky Dog, you have to kind of do the same thing. You need to have purchased your lightning lane before 7 a.m. I purchased mine this morning at like 6:55. And then right at 6:59, I started refreshing on the Hollywood Studios page where the tip board is, where the lightning lanes are going to show up at 6:59. And I refreshed, and right at 7 when they went live, I slammed Slinky Dog, and I still got 11:50 a.m. right at 7 a.m. So this one, hot commodity. You don't want to get the lightning lane. You don't want to get it right at 7. It will be gone by 7:05, and you're not going to get a lightning lane for Slinky after that. So if this is a priority for you, please make sure that that's what you plan for, is to get on there at 7 and refresh, and hit it right away.
Here we go.
All right, so now that we've talked about Slinky Dog, the rest of the rides in the park are pretty much, what you would choose to ride. And if you don't want to ride Slinky Dog, if that's not your priority, then the rest of the rides are pretty easy to get at 7. And you can kind of just check the time that you want to start your day. But let's say that I went ahead and got Slinky at 7. Once you get something at 7 o'clock, you can't get a second lightning lane again until either you've ridden the first ride or 2 hours has passed since the park opened. And the park opened today at 8:30 a.m. So that means since my ride was for 11:50, I couldn't get a second ride until about 10:30. So in Hollywood Studios, this is what makes it tough to get a lot of rides. On very busy days, once I would get that second ride at 10:30, after that it becomes really hard to get another good ride. Today is going really well. It is not as crowded today. The ride lines aren't really more than 65 minutes I showed you for Star Wars Rise of the Resistance. It was 95 for Slinky Dog. But even then it didn't look terrible. And so at 10:30 I was able to book it, and I got Toy Story Midway Mania right here for 12 o'clock. So that way my 2 rides were stacked right back to back. And once I tapped in at the Toy Story ride, I was able to get an additional one. So I have Tower of Terror coming up at 1:15. But this is an unusual day, I'm going to be honest with you, at Hollywood Studios. Most of the time when I buy Lightning Lane, I buy it on a holiday week or a busier week, and it is just kind of frustrating to use here because I can get maybe 2 good rides. In the amount of time also that I waited to start my Lightning Lanes at 11:50, I was able to ride Mickey and Minnie Runaway Railway right when I got into the park. It said it was a 45-minute wait, and then I'd say I probably averaged right around 45 minutes. And then I did Star Tours, which was very quick, maybe 10 minutes in the line. It said 15 minutes, so that went pretty fast. So all together, I'll have ridden 5 rides. My Lightning Lane here today cost $22. So paid for 3 of rides, it broke it down to about $7 and change per ride. I could go ahead and get Millennium Falcon if I wanted to, but I can come often, so I don't have to. So it's really going to depend on the time of year that you're visiting if Hollywood Studios is worth it to get the Lightning Lane. I think no matter what, you should get Lightning Lane at Hollywood Studios. But just know that if you're coming on busier times, it's gonna be, you're gonna use that Lightning Lane for 2, maybe 3 rides max, and that's if you're spending your entire day here at Hollywood Studios. And then you're gonna be spending time in line for the other rides. If you're coming on a less crowded time, it's pretty worth it here. So just keep that in mind. We're now heading to Epcot to check it out there. All right, everyone, we have made it to Epcot, our final park, and this is my least favorite park, I will be honest with you, to get the Disney Genie Lightning Lane for. And the reason why is I don't ride all the rides every time I come to Epcot. There's always a festival going on. I come here for a lot of different reasons, like eating food at the festival, checking out concerts, just walking around. So a lot of times the rides here at Epcot I do like sparingly. So to me, it's really not worth it to get Lightning Lane here. However, there are 3 key rides that you're going to want to get if you decide to do Lightning Lane. And one of them, what we're looking at right now, is the Test Track. The Test Track always has a long line. It's 60 minutes right now, and the park is not very crowded today. I looked throughout the wait times on the app, and this one has the longest line right now. So they do have a single rider line for this attraction, but you would probably want to have children that are older or be all adults if you were going to utilize the single rider line. Otherwise, if you want to all ride together in the standby line, Lightning Lane might definitely be worth it. The other 2 rides to use Lightning Lane on are Frozen and Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. And we'll go talk about those next. All right, everyone, one of the 2 rides that I would most definitely get Lightning Lane for is Remy's Ratatouille Adventure or Frozen over in Norway. This one is in the back of the France Pavilion. Now, these are the 2 most popular rides with Lightning Lane. You will want to pick one of them for your 7 a.m. ride, and then you can get the other one, hopefully, after 2 hours after the park opens, which technically would not be until 11, depending again on what time you get your first ride for. If you get your first ride for a time within the first 2 hours of park open and you're going and you can get scanned in, then you can get the other one a little bit better. But these 2 rides go quickly throughout the day. I know today by, I want to think 11:30, 12, both of them were completely out of Lightning Lane, which is late because it is a very light day in the park. On a very busy day in the park, they will both go quickly. So it may have to be, if you're coming on a busy vacation week, that you plan to get Lightning Lane for one and rope drop the other. If you're staying at one of the Epcot resorts like Boardwalk, Yacht or Beach Club, Swan or Dolphin, if you're staying on one of the Skyliner resorts like Art of Animation or the Riviera Resort or Caribbean Beach or Pop Century, then I would probably plan to rope drop Remy and get my Fast Pass for Frozen. So, you know, it'll be a little bit easier because back here is your entrance to the park, right here by the Remy ride. But keep in mind that you're going to have to get in line early for that Skyliner, because that line will be busy if everybody else is trying to rope drop as well and come for early park admission at 8:30 in the morning. So, but those are a couple of ways that you can do those 2 rides. And then after I did Frozen and Remy, my next choice of Lightning Lane would be Test Track. So, which I already showed you guys, the Test Track. And then after that, maybe Soarin'. My least favorite rides to do Lightning Lane on at this park would be like Spaceship Earth, Living with the Land, Figment, the Seas with Nemo and Friends, because those usually have less than a half an hour wait at some point in the day and are much more doable, especially if you go to the front of the park later in the day. Not at the beginning of the day, later in the day. Those rides will be a lot less crowded, and they're indoors and good for taking a break from the afternoon heat. So I hope this gives you an idea of what best to use your Lightning Lane on here at Epcot. Now we're going to transition into talking about the virtual queues for Tron and Guardians of the Galaxy and how to use those, and also how to use the individual Lightning Lanes for rides like Tron and Guardians of the Galaxy, as well as Rise of Resistance at Hollywood Studios and the Avatar Flight of Passage ride at Animal Kingdom. All right, now that we've visited all 4 parks and talked about Lightning Lane, we're going to talk about individual Lightning Lane and virtual queues. So you probably noticed that there are a few rides that are pretty popular here at Walt Disney World that aren't really part of the Lightning Lane. And it's typically 1 ride at each park. Here at Magic Kingdom, it is 2. Here at Magic Kingdom, Tron and the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train are not on the Lightning Lane. They are on what we call individual Lightning Lane, that you have to purchase an individual ticket just to use Lightning Lane for these rides, on top of Disney Genie Lightning Lane for all the other rides in the park. And 2 of the rides, Tron and Guardians of the Galaxy over at Epcot, also use something called a virtual queue, which is a free way to ride these rides, but you have to be really good at how to get a virtual queue. So we're going to talk about that first. So let's talk about virtual queue. Virtual queue opens up at 7 a.m. every morning. And in order to get a Lightning Lane for Tron or Guardians of the Galaxy at 7 a.m., you have to have a date-based ticket for those 2 parks. or you have to have a park reservation for those two parks most of the time. Some days there are good to go days where people who normally have to make park reservations don't have to make one, and then anyone can get a virtual queue for those. So that you have to kind of pay attention to and be familiar with how that system works. But at 7 a.m., you basically would go onto the My Disney Experience app, and in fact, you're going to need to be on it a little before 7 a.m. I say 6:55, you need to be getting onto the My Disney Experience app. And on the home page, if you scroll down, you're going to see a virtual queue area box, and you can click that, and it will confirm that everyone in your party that is going to the park is in the party and ready to go. And then I wait until about 6:59, and then I kind of start to refresh. And once 7 hits, the blue join button will light up. So you got to kind of be refreshing your app right at 6:59 and hit it right at 7. If you're staying at a Walt Disney World Resort, get off of the Disney Wi-Fi and use your cell phone data. The Wi-Fi is too slow. And I'm going to tell you right now, these virtual queues for both rides go within seconds, like 2 to 3 seconds, they will be full. So there have been times I've missed it. I just have refreshed a little late and try to hit it, and it's already gone. So you got to have a twitchy finger, you got to be refreshing, and you got to hit the join button right at 7. And then basically you'll have a boarding group. So once you have your boarding group, like today I was boarding group 9 for Tron, then when you get to the park, they're going to call the boarding groups in order, and they'll start right away at park open with like the first 20 groups for either ride at either park, Tron or Guardians of the Galaxy. And then once your boarding group is called, you basically get into what's called a standby line for these rides. If you don't have virtual queue for either Tron or Guardians of the Galaxy, the only other way to ride either of these two rides is to buy the individual lightning lane for these attractions. So know that there is no just regular standby line for these two rides. However, they do have a second virtual queue time at 1 p.m. So, and that one is easier to get than the 7 a.m. one. So if you don't get the 7 a.m. one, you can get the 1 p.m. one. However, you have to have already tagged into the park for the day by 1 p.m. So make sure that you're inside the park at that point, and at 1 o'clock, another queue will open up. It works the exact same way as the 7 a.m. one. You get on the My Disney Experience app, you go to the virtual queues, and again, about 12:58, I would be on there and refreshing, and again, be off the Disney Wi-Fi, be on your cellular network data, okay? And then that one is usually easier to get right at 1 o'clock, but again, you got to be fast. So just know that later on in the day, those 1 o'clock virtual queues, you can get boarding groups that are going to be up until park close. So just know that they could be a lot later in the day. So if you would like to pick your time for these rides and use individual lightning lane, then I suggest going that option. It is $20 typically for the individual lightning lane for Tron, and that is $20 per person. So if you're gonna buy Disney Genie for Magic Kingdom and then also pay the $20 per person for Tron, your day could get pricey, but you're gonna get to pick the exact time you wanna ride. You're gonna get an hour window. So I could pick 1 p.m. in the afternoon, I could pick 9 a.m. in the morning, I could pick 10 p.m. at night, and I'll have an exact time. Versus the boarding group, I'm subject to whatever time they call my boarding group based on what random group I got when I hit the virtual queue. So if you want a little more control in your day, then I suggest just getting the individual lightning lane. And a lot of times I'll do that when I just want to have a certain time and I don't want to have to mess with the boarding groups. So here's how the rule for individual lightning lane works. If you're staying at a Disney resort, you can buy the individual lightning lanes right at 7 a.m. just like you could the Disney Genie regular lightning lanes. And I suggest getting on at 7, getting the individual lightning lanes for the rides you're planning to get for that, and then getting onto the lightning lane regular Disney Genie if you're also going to do that as well, and get whatever you're planning to get for the first one at 7. So you're going to have to get two things at once. If you're not staying on Walt Disney World property, then you cannot get the individual lightning lane until the parks officially open. So if I'm trying to get Tron here at Magic Kingdom and I'm not staying at a Disney World resort, I cannot get Tron on the individual lightning lane. I cannot purchase it until the park opens. Some days it's 8 a.m., some days it's 9 a.m. So you need to check the app, preferably the night before, so you'll know exactly what time to get on, and then you can pick whatever times are available still at that point. And usually there's plenty still left for the individual lightning lane. Now, the other rides we're going to talk about now that also house individual lightning lane. As I said, Guardians at Epcot is one. Seven Dwarfs Mine Train here at Magic Kingdom is another. And then at Hollywood Studios, it's Star Wars Rise of the Resistance, and Avatar at Animal Kingdom, The Flight of Passage. And we're gonna go now and talk about how to get the lightning lane, individual lightning lane for those. All right, this is the Guardians of the Galaxy roller coaster here at Epcot, and this is the one ride that uses individual lightning lane here at Epcot. And this ride also has a virtual queue, just like Tron does. And we just talked about virtual queue a little bit ago. So I usually do virtual queue here at Guardians. It's pretty easy to get if you follow the rules that I talked about earlier, where you get on there at 6:55 in the morning and just refresh at 6:59 and hit it. I can usually always get Guardians. And then you'll get your boarding group time and you'll come back when it's time to ride. However, let's say again that you miss that 7 a.m. queue, or you just want to get a specific time, then you can go ahead and get the individual lightning lane. Again, the rules work that if you are staying on resort property, you can get them at 7 a.m. If you are not, you will have to wait till the park opens, and that's typically at 9 a.m. here at Epcot. So they usually do have lightning lane available right now. I checked at 11:30 in the morning, and they have them for starting in an hour throughout the rest of the day. So they're pretty easy to get. I've debated getting one today. I did not get up early enough this morning to get one at home, but I don't really want to pay for the individual lightning lane right now. I think I might just wait till the 1 o'clock boarding group time and see if I can get a time that I'll still be here at Epcot for. So I just kind of go back and forth, depends on my day. And again, it will work the same way for you, whatever you decide to do. If you wanted to ride it twice, you could buy the individual lightning lane and do a boarding group. This ride is cool in the fact that there are 5 or 6 different songs that you can get, and they get them at random. So you may want to ride it more than once to see if you get different songs. And if you really like high-speed thrill rides, this is a roller coaster that spins. It launches backwards. It goes pretty fast. So if you like things that are high-speed thrill, you can take spinning, then you're most definitely going to probably really enjoy Guardians of the Galaxy. And you may want to do it more than once. So then therefore you may want to get a boarding group and an individual lightning lane for this ride. Now the other individual lightning lane ride here at Magic Kingdom is a Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. And this ride, you would probably want to get individual lightning lane for, because it usually has a very long line. I was in the park right at 9 a.m. when the park opened, and it was a 70-minute wait. So a lot of resort guests that can get into the park a half an hour before park open probably get in here and run straight for this ride. And this is actually, I think, one of the cheapest individual lightning lane rides to get. It's usually like around maybe $10 average, maybe 9, maybe 14, somewhere in there. So it's not bad. Now you're allowed 2 individual lightning lane rides per day. So if you're coming to Magic Kingdom, you could get Seven Dwarfs Mine Train and Tron on individual lightning lane in the same day that you're here. Or if you're going to park hop, you can get 2 different individual lightning lanes. So if you're going to go to Hollywood Studios, here it comes. And so let's say you're going to go to Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom in the same day. You could get Avatar, Flight of Passage at Animal Kingdom and Rise of Resistance at Hollywood Studios. You could buy the individual lightning lane for both of those in the same day as well. So this is pretty much how individual lightning lane works at the parks. All right, here we are looking at Star Wars Rise of the Resistance, which is the one ride at Hollywood Studios that does the individual lightning lane. And this is really a must-do ride at Walt Disney World. And again, I'm shooting on a less crowded day at the park. So the regular line is only 65 minutes, and this is like at 11:40 in the morning. So you definitely can do this ride without paying for the individual lightning lane. I would suggest either rope drop typically or near the very end of your day, but I would wait at 65 minutes. I don't really think I would wait longer than that. This thing on a busy day can really be at 2 hours easily. But if you decide to pay for the individual lightning lane, that, again, they vary by price. So I've seen this ride for maybe like around the $20 mark average. So it can be a little more than 20, it can be a little less, but it's definitely a must-do here at Walt Disney World. All right, here at Animal Kingdom, the ride that uses the individual lightning lane is the Avatar Flight of Passage ride. And I would most definitely always and forever buy the individual lightning lane for Flight of Passage anytime I'm coming to Animal Kingdom. It's a fairly inexpensive, of the individual lightning lanes, I think it's the least expensive one. Maybe Seven Dwarfs Mine Train and it are probably the least expensive. And it usually comes in between $14 and $17 depending on the crowd. But here at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it's a 95-minute wait. This will be the ride that everyone will start rope dropping right away in the morning. And right away in the morning, this could already be a 2-hour wait. And it will kind of consistently stay an hour and a half to 2 hours, pretty much the entire day long, even up until the evening. So I would highly suggest individual lightning lane for this attraction, unless you are going to be here for the rope drop. And I mean like in the park for the rope drop, you know, early, which this park typically opens at 8. So we're talking 7:30 for resort guests. They're getting on this ride. So, you know, you're like in the park by 7. If you're early people, then you could do this standby. Otherwise, I would do individual lightning lane. If you're going to be here all the way to park close in the evenings, you could make this your last ride of the night once you get everything else done if you want to save money that way. But otherwise, if you're not going to do it at the end of the night or very early in the morning, I highly suggest individual lightning lane for the Flight of Passage.
Well, everyone, I had a great time today showing you how to use some tips and tricks while using the Disney Genie Lightning Lane and the individual lightning lanes here at Walt Disney World. I hope that these tips and tricks will help you on your next Disney World vacation, and hopefully you'll be able to get some rides done and maximize your trip by using the Disney Genie. If you liked today's video, hit like and subscribe down below to see more, and don't forget to hit the notification bell just to be notified every time we upload a new video, which is usually once a week. And also subscribe on social media like Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. CFL Park Hopper on all 3. Thanks for watching.